So in today's first reading from the first book of the Kings, we read about the fame of Solomon that reached even the Queen of Sheba. And so she came to pay him a visit because she had heard so much about this Solomon. And we read that she was certainly impressed. She was left breathless, we are told, when she saw the wisdom of Solomon, palace he had built, the organization of his staff, the way they were dressed, accommodation of his officials. And not only that, we are told also that she was so impressed by his wisdom, every question he could answer. And also, we are told that she said, "How happy are these servants of yours who wait on you always and hear your wisdom." Such high praises for King Solomon. And certainly, Solomon was really impressive. And that is what the Queen of Sheba thought of him. And perhaps it was true then. But it's important for us to take note. For me, the most important line in this whole text is this: "Blessed be the Lord your God who has granted you his favor, setting you on the throne of Israel. Because of the Lord's everlasting love for Israel, he has made you king to deal out law and justice." And it's important that the Queen of Sheba ascribed his wisdom, his success, his achievements, not to him, but to God, who has chosen him as the king of Israel. I think this is a very important point, and that is precisely the theme of our homily. That it's important for us always to remember that God is the one who chooses us, and God is the one who blessed us. Without him, we can do nothing. And we must never forget that everything comes from him, especially when we are successful in life. The real problem for many of us is this: we let success go to our heads. When we are not successful, it's easy to be humble. We think we are nobody. But when you are successful, I think this is the real temptation. We begin to think so highly of ourselves. We begin to believe only in ourselves. We are not grateful to God because we think we have made it all by ourselves. And we become so arrogant, we no longer listen to our subordinates, to people around us. We don't give them the due respect for what they do because I have made it. I know everything. I know the right answer to everything because I'm successful today. And I think this is really the problem for us all. And I think it's important for us that if we don't allow success to go to our head, we must always remain humble even when we are successful. Always ever ready to apologize when we are wrong. Ever ready to listen to others who have criticisms against us, whether friends, colleagues, enemies. It's good for us to listen because we can learn something. Perhaps they can be right. We don't have all the answers all the time. And I think a person who is grateful and who is humble, that person is truly that successful man. The problem precisely was King Solomon. He was warned right at the start, at the deathbed of King David, that he must follow the ways of the Lord, walk in his path, and he will be successful. Initially, King Solomon did that. In fact, when King David died, God spoke to him, "What do you want? Ask. I will give to you." He didn't ask for success. He didn't ask for prosperity, for power, military might. He asked for the gift of wisdom and discernment. And God said he was so pleased with King Solomon. Because you asked this, I give you all the rest as well. Because King Solomon chose what was most important, the wisdom to live a good life. So many of us can be intelligent at making money, intelligent at building worldly success, but we don't have the wisdom to live our life in such a way that that life brings real happiness. This is really a very sad reality of life. In 2016, there was a doctor, he was a GP. Then after that, he came to realize that being a cosmetic doctor, a plastic surgeon, can make tons of money. And in his testimony, he said he was a young doctor and he got cancer. He owns Ferrari cars, he has millions of dollars. He says, wow, don't believe all these people. You go and see a GP, you have $20, $30, you make so much noise. But for people who are vain, even $15,000 they will pay immediately, no problem. And that's why he became rich as a plastic surgeon. But when he got cancer at a very young age, I think it was only 40s, early 40s, everything went down. So we don't really appreciate. And so King Solomon, he became so proud of his achievement, it got to his head, and he was no longer attentive, no longer discerning. He was building a lavish palace for himself. At the expense of the people, he was overtaxing the people to build his own palace. And he was practicing favoritism. His two tribes, Benjamin and Judah, don't have to pay tax. The rest have to pay taxes. Of course, it built resentment among his people. That's why eventually the kingdom, after he is split into two. And I think it's a good lesson for us to learn that all these external achievements means nothing actually. They don't really bring us happiness. So don't be impressed by external achievements of people. What is important is whether the person is living a life of wisdom, a life of real happiness. I think you have to ask yourself, are you happy with your life? So ultimately, a life of happiness, honestly, is not determined by how successful you are, how much you have, if you have what is necessary for you in life. If you have good friends to journey with, good friends to celebrate together, that is really what happiness is all about. If you have a family that is supportive, what other happiness are you looking for? These are all means. And even if God bless you with riches, with wealth, they are means for you to grow your friendship, to help to build other people up. And that is what gives us meaning and purpose. And that is what actually makes a person really happy. Because no amount of money, and this doctor also, he said, no amount of money is a number, actually. And it's very important for us today, because Jesus in the gospel, precisely, he spoke about what is inside, what is outside. The scribes and Pharisees were impressed with all the external rituals and hygiene. But Jesus says, what comes up from the heart of the person, that will determine whether the person is happy. If you are full of anger inside you, full of envy, slandering people, you are proud, you are malicious, you are avaricious, you can never be happy. You can have all this in the world. You cannot be happy. And it's true. Sometimes when we look at certain successful corporate leaders, when they become the top of the world, they don't listen to anyone. In the end, they pay a big price. They lose billions of dollars simply because they thought they have all the answers. And so today, we are called to be reminded, to be humble, to be grateful for all that God has blessed us, and let us always put God as the ultimate in our life. Today, the response to some say, commit your life to the Lord. Trust in Him, and He will act. The just man's mouth utters wisdom, and his lips speaks what is right. The law of his God is in his heart. And that is what we should be praying for as we celebrate the new year to come. And I think let us keep our focus, our perspective correct, and live a life of wisdom, live a meaningful life. Whatever God has blessed us, they are meant to help us to live that happy life.